So the first is, so we have a minimum of 3 months left now. So what are we going to do in these 3 months? What should we be doing? So the first is, if you have not yet completed phase 2 syllabus, especially finance and management, do complete that. That's the first target, because, and the reason for that is, in finance and management you have a lot more questions coming from the syllabus itself rather than current affairs. So the first target should be to cover the syllabus in finance and management. So the syllabus will have three portions: the practical portion of finance, the theoretical portion of finance, and the management, of course. And the questions on current affairs come from the theoretical portion of finance. That is where the RBI website comes into play. So what you need to do in finance and management is only two things: cover the syllabus of finance, practical and management first, and when you start covering theoretical portion of finance, then you can cover the current affairs as well along with the theoretical portion of finance. So that way you're going to make your preparation more targeted. If you have not done that, please do that as soon as possible, because in finance a lot of questions are asked from the syllabus itself. Okay, so that is the first thing. Second is ESI. What do you do in ESI now? Yeah, I have added her. So what do you do in ESI now, that we have only 3 months left? Now we have less time, so instead of focusing a lot on all the entire syllabus of ESI, focus a lot more on current affairs. So what do we do in ESI? Macroeconomics, number one. History of Indian economy, you can either leave out, or you can do very specifically rather than focusing a lot on the history of Indian economy, because not many questions are asked directly from that area. Even if questions are asked from that area, they're not direct, they're indirectly asked from that area. So what are we going to do is, we are going to focus on macroeconomics, number one. It takes 2-3 days to cover macroeconomics, and it becomes useful when you're talking about, when you're reading the theoretical part of finance. So that is the linkage between these two. So macroeconomics, development, sustainable development, these are important. Last year many questions were asked from the basics of sustainable development and development, like what was the name of the commission which was responsible for starting the debate on sustainable development. That was the Brundtland Commission. So those kind of questions were asked in the examination, which were as far back as 1985. So those kind of questions can be asked. I've covered all those things in the study material that I've provided. So focus a lot on that: sustainable development and development, the debate. Then the next is Indian polity. Do not focus, just leave it out. I've provided it because many students like to have a lot of material in their hands. That was the reason that I made it and provided it to them. You can just leave it out. One question per year asked in the last 2 years, not important. So we have had two important areas: macroeconomics and sustainable development versus development, or in addition to development. These two things. International economic and other organizations, these are important, asked both in phase 1 and phase 2. So you cover that. Then we have social issues. So instead of covering all the social issues, you focus on government schemes, because government schemes are the ways of implementing or ways of dealing with the social issues. That is how the government is working. So what you do is, you, instead of reading a lot about social issues like what is the problem of education in India, because you already know all those things, like we already know what are the problems in health, what are the problems in education, and questions are normally not asked from those areas. The questions are picked up normally from government schemes, acts, bills, and various facts, recent facts related to these social issues. Like in corruption, there is no specific fact that can actually summarize corruption. What is the level of corruption in India? What you have is the index of corruption, wherein India has certain ranking, vis-a-vis the world rankings. So that is the max fact that you get on corruption. What other things are available on corruption is the Demonetization Act, which happened recently. That was an act to deal with corruption. That was one of them. So there can be a question asked from demonetization rather than getting into corruption. That is how the examiner must be thinking. So rather than focusing directly a lot on social issues, focus on government schemes, focus on facts which the census had provided, which the National Family Health Survey had provided, which international organizations provide. Now, another question which students ask me a lot is, do we have to read these development and other international reports? Yes. So till now, what we have done is we have because people are still joining in, so I'm just giving an overview as to how to prepare in the next 3 months. So where were we? We were talking about international organizations. Then we talked about social issues. Yeah. So a lot of students keep asking me as to should we be reading development reports and other international reports or not. What I personally feel is there are so many reports around the world, and all these reports come out with national statistics for every country, as well as international or global statistics and global reports. So reading all of them is very, very difficult. So what you need to do is pick out the most important ones which come in the newspaper, and then just take the most important facts of these reports, rather than trying to start with reading these reports outrightly. That's going to take a lot of time, and it's not going to pay you a lot of dividends. So one second, more people coming in. Let me just, yeah. Yes. So rather than going through all these reports, what we need to do is focus on the newspaper and cover as many facts as possible related to these reports, rather than getting into the intricacies of these reports. Then another question is, other than the syllabus, what all do we need to cover in ESI and finance and management? See, these RBI people, or should we say IBPS, who's the examiner or preparer, the organization that prepares the exam, is not sticking to the syllabus that RBI has provided it to. So in ESI, what they did, they, in order to confuse people, they just last year they just gave short forms of different government schemes. The questions were very easy, but because they had not given the full form, so they became difficult. So that was a very unprofessional thing to do, but they're doing it. So this year they might come out with something else. So what we can do is we can take the NABARD exam, which is coming soon, and which is going to be held before RBI exam, because NABARD exam is also prepared by these IBPS only. So all you guys can take NABARD exam. That way you will come to know what is the difference that they're trying to create this year. Otherwise, there is no difficulty in getting above average marks in ESI and finance and management with whatever I have provided and whatever you're reading. So that should be more than enough to actually get good marks in both these subjects, because that is a lot of information that you're reading in these short span of time. So that is about ESI, finance and management. I've already told you. Let's start with the questions. So whatever questions you have, you can just keep writing those questions, because I've muted you so that the broadcast becomes better. So you can start writing your questions in the chat box. Another thing that students keep asking me, and I'm going to work on it today itself, is FAQs on chapters from books. So what you ask is, if you've taken Prasanna Chandra, then what chapter should be read, what chapter should not be read. See, there are two problems there. One problem is that you cannot remove an entire chapter from your preparation. So what happens is, if there is a chapter on present value, and you're covering net present value and net future value and all those things, so they might get into a little more detail in the book, which you don't need to get into. But you cannot leave out the entire chapter as well. So what you can do is, the notes that I provided, the videos that I'm providing, you can keep work in line with those videos and notes and the book. Whatever is provided in the notes, you can cover the same concept from the book, and then take some practical examples or questions to practice. So that way you're saving yourself a lot more time by not going into details that you're not required to go into. Okay, so that is about finance, the questions that we have normally have about finance. So what I'm going to do is, by today evening, I will provide all the names of the chapters, names and numbers of the chapters from different books that you certainly need to go through, uh, by filtering out whatever is not required, and the names of chapters that you can skip out completely. Okay, so, and I'll provide that on the FAQs section on the website, so that everybody can have access to that, because I get a lot of queries. So I thought, let's create one PDF on that and put it on FAQ section so that it saves my time and it saves your time as well. Okay. Then uh, how to prepare for current affairs for both ESI and finance and management? That is a very interesting question. So for finance and management, newspaper, one newspaper, Live Mint or Financial Express or Business Standard is more than enough any day, every day. Plus RBI website. What areas on RBI website? There are different areas: speeches, circulars, notifications. They also have papers, journals, and papers mentioned, written, added every day regularly. So, what all do you cover from these areas? So, what would happen is if you're covering a circular, you would feel that it's very unimportant or it's too technical. But if you go through something on the newspaper, you find it's important, and then you search for it on RBI website, you will come back to the same circular, and then you will understand that it was important. So going directly to RBI website and searching for or reading, starting to read all these circulars and technical things is not going to pay you any dividends. It's not going to help you out. So what you can do is notifications. Number one, you can read directly from RBI website. FAQs, number two, directly from RBI website. Speeches, try to find out only the good speeches because they are very long. So do not spend a lot of time on reading the entire speech. So what you can do is if there is a speech, read only the introductory part and get hold of certain facts which are mentioned in the speech and move ahead. Last is circulars. Circulars are the tricky part. They have a lot of important information, but you cannot leave out. So what you do is you work along with the newspaper. So you open a website, newspaper website, and you read all the financial news in a day, and side by side you keep searching for it on RBI website as well, whatever information is related to banking or related to RBI. That way you might find something important that is not mentioned in that news item. Okay, so that way you go through the circulars. For finance and management, the current affairs part, this is more than enough. Not many questions are asked from the current affairs section in finance and management. The ratio is less compared to ESI, so give that much time only. For ESI, what you need to do is Yojana and Kurukshetra are very detailed, and it's very difficult to compress Yojana and Kurukshetra because they are very analytical in nature. They have less facts, they are more analytical in nature. So unless you don't read the entire thing, going through the gist might not be very helpful to you. Okay, so you can go through the gists available on its insights on India or IS Baba in order to save time. But and I'm going to cover as many facts as possible, but I'm not going to cover the entire Yojana and Kurukshetra because they're already available on so many UPSC websites, so it doesn't make any sense to double the same work. Second is PIB, PRS. I'm going to cover these vision notes for UPSC. I'm going to filter them out and take out only the important areas for RBI. Economic survey I've already covered in very detailed manner because last year there were not many questions from economic survey, but this year if they start focusing on current affairs in a well organized manner, then there might be a lot of questions from survey. Okay. So for ESI, you have Yojana Kurukshetra, which you can read in your spare time only. Don't spend a lot of time reading Yojana and Kurukshetra. If you are giving NABARD seriously, then you need to focus on both Yojana and Kurukshetra. Yojana and Kurukshetra, then we have covered PIB, PRS, and PRS for all the acts and bills. Then Vision covered. Then for phase 1, I will be covering GK Today and other such websites and filtering out material for you. Government schemes, I have covered one part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the state government schemes and other missed out government schemes of national level also shortly. So in the next 3-4 days you will have that. So that will help you out in saving time and covering a lot of government schemes. Next one, what you need to do is pick out information. So what I'm doing is I'm putting 5 questions every day on the website as part of daily quiz. So I'm not covering all all the factual questions there, because that will already be covered when we take the comprehensive test. What I'm doing is I'm covering more analytical areas. Okay, like different acts which are passed, different bills which are available, different schemes. So I'm covering area, those kind of area, rather than covering only the factual information which you find on other platforms as well. So there is no need of covering that again. So this is what you need to do in ESI. Yojana Kurukshet number one, PAB, PRS, vision, government schemes, and whatever material you can get hold of for current affairs from UPSC aspirants, because they are the ones who are covering ESI in detail. So they are going to help you. The material that they are provided is going to help you a lot. Okay, I am trying to cover as much as possible from those areas. So that is for ESI current affairs, finance and management current affairs. We are done. Let's talk a little about English. Then we can move on to questions. So in English, what all do you need to do is keep writing. All the students who have enrolled for it are already writing. Some of them are writing regularly. A lot of them are not writing regularly. So it's a request to everybody to keep writing regularly. You have paid for it, so start writing regularly, at least once a week. I give out tests almost once a week, so you are expected to give out 2 hours and write at least once a week. Okay. So in English, what should be the focus? Introduction, body paragraph, conclusion. You all know about that. You need to segregate the entire English essay very clearly into these three parts. Introduction, two things. Cover two things. Definition. For example, if there's a question on GST or demonetization, or let's say Aadhaar, or let's say FDI, investment overseas direct investments, or FDI, anything related to this sort, or financial inclusion. So what you need to do is define the keyword very clearly in the introduction itself. Tell the reader that you know what you're talking about. Second, importance of that particular keyword or whatever the question is about, the essay is about, from the present context. So if you're talking about demonetization, importance of demonetization, why did it become important? FDI, why is it important for India? GST, why is it important? For the importance of every topic in the present context. That is what you have to provide to the reader in the introduction itself. So the introduction becomes very clear. Definition, importance. Then you come to the body paragraph. Body paragraph, as many facts, not many, 3 to 4 facts and figures, some statements by financial leaders, like if Arun Jaitley said something, if Rajan said something, if Ujit Patel is saying something of that sort can be just put down if you remember it. So number one is facts and figures. Number two, statements by these leaders. Number three, as many points as possible from different dimensions, but starting with the economic and financial dimension. So what you do is, if there is a last the advantages of GST for the economy, for the financial health of the country, for the banking system. So you're covering the areas which are important for RBI and banks. Number one, for RBI, for the economy and banks. And then you start covering the importance of GST for the people, importance of GST for political integration. So all those things, if you have space. If you don't have space, don't get into those areas. Only cover the areas which are important from financial and economic point of view. Okay. So try to cover as many dimensions as possible, starting with economic and financial dimension. Cover the most important dimension first. Don't cover the less important dimension first. So before writing the body paragraph, you make a rough sketch of what all points are you going to write, and then you provide all those points. Okay. Next is, the conclusion can be very simple, because they're not expecting you to write UPSC like conclusions where you give a way forward, you tell them what can be done, or you provide some innovative ideas. So you can just conclude simply by telling them that whatever you have covered. So you can just conclude the essay by providing them an idea of what all you have covered, how did you start, and what are you expecting in the future if you have space, or if not, then you can just simply conclude and compress the entire information covered in body paragraph and the introduction. So conclusions can be very simple, 2 to 3 liners. Those are going to do the job. Okay. Okay, so now these are the questions that very general, generic questions. And yeah, in the next 3 months, how do you cover all of this? So what you can do is, if you're just starting with the preparation, what you can do is, today is 16th of April. So you can give 1 month to finance and management and ESI, cover the syllabus, give more time to finance and management, ESI, along with the syllabus, start covering the current affairs as well. So the next 1 month. So by May 15th, you should be able to cover FM as well as ESI, at least the syllabus part. Okay. Or on May 16th itself, you can start with phase 1. So I'm assuming here that you are comfortable in phase 1, you need to revise. Okay. So that is the idea that we have already assumed. So phase 1, you start revising from May 16th, and you start revising, or you start covering general awareness for phase 1 as well. So you do these two things for the next 15 days. In 15 days, you try to revise phase 1. You start taking tests, mock tests for phase 1, and at the same time you start covering general awareness, which I've already provided for Jan, Feb and March. Okay, you start covering general awareness for phase 1. From June 1 onwards, what you do is you start covering current affairs specifically. Like you start focusing on current affairs for phase 2 for both FM as well as ESI. ESI you already covered some current affairs when you started with the syllabus, but now if you are focusing specifically on current affairs for phase 2, and you keep doing this for the next 15 to 20 days. Okay, 15 to 20 days you keep covering current affairs for phase 2, and along with this, every weekend you take one test of phase 1 and you take one test of English and phase 2. You try to take 2 to 3 tests every weekend so that you stay in touch with the syllabus. You end up revising the syllabus also every weekend, at least some part of the syllabus, and you're taking tests regularly. Okay, so one day every week you give 2 tests. The next 6 days, 5 to 6 days, you keep revising current affairs of phase 2, and yeah, that's it. So the next 15-20 days you cover as much as possible of current affairs for phase 2. So you're focusing only on current affairs for these 15 to 20 days. From June 21 onwards, what you do is, for the next 10 days you again revise phase 2 syllabus. For the next 10 days you revise phase 2 syllabus again, and you keep taking those weekly tests. Okay, you're taking those weekly tests and you're revising phase 2 syllabus again. So you have revised it once now. From July 1 onwards, keep writing this down, from July 1 onwards, so you've covered everything. You're covering the current affairs as it is coming through newspapers and other things, but you've covered the past 4 to 5 months of current affairs. You've covered the syllabus, you've covered phase 1, and you've covered general awareness, and you're covering as it is coming for the latest part. So from July 1 onwards, you focus more on taking tests. Okay, you start taking 2 tests every week. So you spend 2 days every week taking tests, and then whatever you're unable to cover or answer correctly in those tests, you start okay, we have another one. So whatever you're unable to answer in those tests, you start covering those parts. You start revising those parts so that you're able to get those questions right in the next test that you take. Okay, so that is how from July 1 you're going to start revising everything through tests and through direct revision. So what you do is, for example, if you're taking a test of finance and management, and in management you are unable to answer a question on leadership, there's a certain model of leadership, either you have not read that model or you get confused in the keywords. So what you do is, you go back to that model, whatever you had read, and you add the keywords, or if you have missed out on that model, you add that model. Okay, so that is how you increase your horizon of knowledge, and at the same time you start revising everything. So from July 1 onwards, you start revising everything available to you, because you have already covered everything at least once, and you have revised phase 2 syllabus once after June 1. So in the next from July 1 onwards, you start revising everything. That is the target that you should be having. Now if you're weak in phase 1, then what do we do? If you're weak in phase 1, then what you can do is, general awareness for phase 1, you can, rather than doing it between May 16th and June 1 along with phase 1, you can do general awareness along with ESI. Okay, because there are a lot of overlaps between them, so you can do general awareness along with ESI, and these 15 days of May 16 to June 1, you can focus on phase 1 completely, other than general awareness, and you can cover the entire thing in 15 to 16 days. That's very much possible. If you have basic idea about these as well, then also you can cover a lot of areas. Like you can cover English, because English is the easier part in RBI examination, so you can cover English directly through various tests, comprehensions, and sentence rearrangement, combining sentences, fill in the blanks. You can easily get hold of these things in 3 to 4 days. Next is maths. In maths or quantitative aptitude also, you can cover DI in 2 to 3 days. Some short tricks are easily available everywhere, so you can start covering DI. Out 10 questions are asked in DI every year, so out of that you can easily get 6 to 7 right if you are able to cover DI in a good manner. So you can cover DI in 2 days, and then you can give 4 5 days to other part of quantitative aptitude and cover all the formulas and the shortcuts. Don't try to get into a lot of details about the concept, and the reason for that is you would know that when you start taking tests, or you would already also get hold of that when you start reading the formulas and start reading the shortcuts that are available about those concepts. So get hold of the concept very briefly, move on to the formulas, move on to the shortcuts, and combine them, and start doing it in such a manner for every topic related to quantitative aptitude. 4 days quantitative aptitude, 3 to 4 days English, 2 to 3 days DI, and the remaining 5 6 days for reasoning. For reasoning, one question that students keep asking me is, should we be uh, focusing a lot on puzzles, or should we focus on other areas? So RBI is asking very tough, IBPS in fact is asking very tough puzzles nowadays in SBI as well as RBI. I don't know from where are they getting all these puzzles. So what you do is, instead of covering puzzles, cover other areas first. So what you do is, cover all the other areas like assumptions, assertion, reasoning, like conclusion, okay, all those areas, and sentence, and when you're done with all those areas, then move on to puzzles. Because even if 20 marks of puzzles are asked in the examination, and assume that you don't know any of it, number one, so you still have 40 questions. Out of that 40, you can easily get 20 25 right. Let's say you got 20 right, okay, you still need 10 more. So now this, out of this 20, what you're going to do next after covering these areas, other areas, is that you're going to start preparing on how to get hold of the easier puzzles out of these 20 marks. So what happens in every examination is, if there are 4 puzzles of 5 marks each, okay, a total of 20 marks, then out of this, one at least is going to be very easy, and the next 3 are going to be difficult. So the next 3 are difficult. The difficult ones have been put there for the reason that they want you to spend your time on those puzzles and mess it up. Okay, so what we are going to do is, in those puzzles, we were talking about puzzles, in those puzzles, try to create a strategy to be able to find out the easier ones out of those 4. There will be one puzzle which is going to be easy. So you have to create a strategy, you have to prepare yourself by taking tests in such a way that you're able to pick out the easier puzzle just by looking at it. And that's very much possible. How do you do that? Number one, you see how many variables are there in a puzzle. If there are 3 or more, you leave it out for that time period, unless you have a lot of time. So if there are 2 variables, it becomes easy. Number 2, find out how do you start making the puzzle. If the information is outrightly available as to one variable is given which is present in a lot of statements, then you know that using this particular variable, you can start making the or start decoding the puzzle. So if we have 3-4 statements using the same variable in some form or the other, you know that using this variable you can solve the puzzle. So following these 2 steps, for example, you can easily crack one easy puzzle out of these 4. So you receive 5 marks outrightly. That makes it 25. And with a lot more, with practice on puzzles, especially, you can crack 2 also out of 4. If not 2, you can try to increase your score in the other area, where out of 40, we assume that you are getting 50%, so 20 out of 40. So if you're able to increase it to, let's say, 60%, so it will be 24, 25 out of 40. So that way you can easily take it to 30, take your entire score in reasoning to 30, and that's more than enough. Okay, so that is how you tackle puzzles for now, because RBI and SBI and all these examinations are asking very tough puzzles. So a lot of students are there. So let's do one thing. We have already covered a lot of questions. Uh, Two questions from my side. We have created a new platform. Is it better than the older one, or do we need to go back to the old method? So just type in your suggestions in the chat box so that I know whether. So there were some issues of some students related to the videos, presentation of videos in the new platform. So I have a better way of putting out the videos, but what that is going to do is you will have different platform for tests and different platform for videos and study material. So should we be doing that, or should we limit ourselves to the new platform? Is it good enough? So provide your feedbacks, just write in the chat box so that I know what exactly you feel. What are the problems that you're encountering with the new platform? I know some students are facing problems in the video section, so I'm going to work on the video section and do something about it. They're more comfortable with YouTube rather than getting to move to a new platform altogether. Okay, so tell me your suggestions on it so that I have an idea as to are we going in the right direction or not working on iOS. Yes, it does not work on iOS very well. So that's a problem. So these are the problems that the new platform is facing. Okay, so is it related to specific to videos, or is it also related to the study material as well? So are you facing the problem only for videos or also for study material? Okay, another person, Surika, is finding it comfortable. Okay, it is not at all opening in iOS. Okay. So the videos and study material does not matter. It's not opening. So that's a problem with the new platform. That's why I'm thinking about shifting to another platform which is much better and directly linked to the website that I have. So yeah, that way we're going to make it much better. Okay. And the next question that I have is related to suggestions that you might have, the speed with which we are covering everything. So I've covered, you will have about 10 to 15 more finance videos by tonight. I have already put 7-8 videos on financial management yesterday night. So because we were lacking behind in financial management, so I've started covering that through videos. Study material is all done. We are just moving on to current affairs. In videos, there were some students who were saying that we are lacking behind in finance, some parts, and management as well. So I started covering that in with a good speed. So you will have financial management covered, finance and management, and financial management practical portion also covered in the next 3-4 days completely, so that we can focus on current affairs after that. So any other suggestions that you might have related to videos, related to study material, anything, I'm open to keep them into consideration so that we can improve the preparation further. Okay, so that's all for today. I think the webinar, I think it makes more clear as to how do you need to prepare, and I will try to hold a webinar every weekend like this, now that we know how to conduct it in a more organized manner, so that we have a clear idea and we stay very focused on as to how to keep preparing. How can we correlate English PDF with the test? Okay, yeah. So what you need to do in English test for phase 2 is, first of all, for example, if you are about to take test 1, so I've already put the tests on the platform as well. So before taking the test, you can just open the PDF of that particular test and go through the go through the essays, not the other portions. Go through the essays and prepare those essays in detail. Find out all the available points, research, do a little research, spend about 30 minutes on one essay topic so that if it comes in the examination, you're able to write a better essay. Okay. Prepare some points on your own, write it in Word or in some notebook or anything. And once you've done that, then you write the test by resting for some time. Don't just after reading on those essays, don't start writing the test. So leave a gap of say 4 5 hours, do something else, read on something else, and then you can start writing the test. After you've written the test and submitted the test, then go back to the PDFs that contains the answers, pointers, as well as mind maps, and see what all points did you leave out. Okay, so by doing that, what you're doing is you'll be able to remember what all points you did not mention in your test. Number one, through the mind maps and through these pointers, you'll be able to understand what all points you did not remember or you did not read about. Secondly, when I provide you the feedback, you will have a better idea already as to what all things am I saying, what all points did you miss out. Uh, this is the way that you go forward with every essay. So what I would recommend is when you're researching on an essay, don't write it in any notebook. Try to make a folder, separate folder, and write it online. And whatever points I tell you and whatever points you find on the pointers that I have given on the platform itself, add those pointers. So it will be very good for you to revise towards the end. If you have a group of or bunch of say 40 essays, so it's the probability of any one essay coming out of those 40 essays is very high. Okay, so you'll be able to write a better essay if you already have facts and points on your tips. Okay, so that is how you correlate English PDF with the test, and that is how you take it. Second question is, sir, should I stick to your current affairs material or surf other? Okay, for phase one, you don't need to surf any other material. The material I'm providing is enough for general awareness phase one. Number one. So for phase one, no need to refer to any other material. For phase two, I would recommend that you keep looking for small PDFs or keep looking for news on the news websites and portals, etc. But do not focus a lot on the all kinds of material that you get online, because what happens is a lot of that material is related to UPSC. So if it's a 80-page PDF, only 20 to 30 pages might be relevant for RBI. So you will end up wasting a lot of time on reading that PDF or reading that material because it is not directly related to RBI. So what you can do is two things. Either you so one thing that you can do is you can whenever you find something like that and you're confused, you just mail it to me so that I can guide you as to if you need to cover the entire thing or you need to filter it out, and if it is required to be filtered out, then I will do that for you. Okay, that we will have, we'll have a better club or group of material. So what we and for phase two, till now what I have provided you is basically the entire syllabus plus current affairs on government schemes. So we have covered that till now, and through the daily quizzes I am trying to cover the financial areas as well. So keep looking for those daily quizzes every day. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to it so that you get an update every day that the daily quiz is on now. So through that you're covering 2-3 important areas in the newspapers which are covered in the newspapers. Okay, so stick to the material, current affairs material, for let's say 70 to 80% of your preparation. Next 20 to 30%, be smart and try to find out whatever is available. Okay, is it possible for you to do conduct essay competition how you used to do earlier on Facebook? Okay, let's do that. Let me just write it down. Let's have an essay competition on, we'll have it within a day or two. Okay, let's have an essay competition so that we have a lot of new points coming in and people can prepare. Next is government scheme, for how many months we need to cover, like last 6 months or when. Okay, government schemes, they're asking two kinds of questions. Number one, all the schemes rolled out, important schemes rolled out, central as well as state, in the last 1 year at least. Okay, so schemes rolled out in last budget, schemes rolled out in this budget are important, because this year's budget did not have a lot of schemes. A lot of last year's schemes are given more money, so last year's schemes become important. Okay, so schemes of last year also become important. So you're not covering only last 6 months, but last 1 year also. Second, important schemes that have been running for a very long time in India, but which are still going on. For example, ICDS. ICDS started in 1975. It's still on. It's still going on. Okay, so those kind of schemes also become important. So that scheme started in 1975, but it is still relevant for your preparation, because the question can be asked from those kind of schemes, and they have been asked from schemes which have not been launched recently, but which are important for your preparation, because they're still going on in the country. Okay, so the schemes that I've covered along with social issues, I've covered those kind of schemes as well. I picked up India Yearbook 2016 and 17, and I've taken those kind of schemes as well. Okay, so the schemes covered in social issues PDF are going to cover all those older schemes which are still relevant, and we are going to cover new schemes also in the next 4-5 days. We have started working on the latest schemes. Okay, so one suggestion: essay competition, very good. We are going to cover an essay. We are going to conduct an essay competition. Will we find any mock test in the subscribed course? Yes, of course, of course. We are going to start with mocks very soon. Comprehensive mocks on on all the three areas: finance, management, ESI, as well as GA. So general awareness phase 1 we are going to start a little late, because I don't think this is the right time to take general awareness phase 1 test. But for ESI and finance and management, we are going to start very soon. I'm working on questions on government schemes right now. As soon as we cover that, we are going to move into other areas, and we are going to roll out ESI tests first, and then we'll roll out finance and management tests. Okay. You will get 10 tests for ESI, 10 tests for finance and management minimum, and you might have we might have more questions as well, depending upon the time that we're left with. If the exam is held in July, then we'll have 10 each. If the exam is held in September, let's say September, then we'll have 3-4 more for each. Okay, so the last question, I'm still not very clear as to, should we move for videos, should we go back to YouTube platform and organize it in such a way that we can use it through my website, or should we stick to the platform that we're using right now? Because a lot of students who are using Chrome as well are not able to watch the videos in a very good manner. Common schemes. Okay, another question. So not able to watch the videos of the same quality. So should we go back to YouTube, or should we stick to the new platform? That is the question that is still unanswered. Is it possible for you to conduct thesis done in government schemes? Okay. Okay, so we have answered these questions. Okay, so let's finish this webinar for now. Let's conduct another one next week, Sunday only. We'll conduct it same time. I'll be sending you an email on Friday or Saturday regarding the seminar. Let's have it again so that we have a lot more questions. Let's have the seminar every weekend so that we can stay in touch and you can ask me questions, and it becomes more clear as to what exactly are we working towards. Okay, have a good day.